Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of BakedHR. And here we go with Christina.
I'm sorry. I Katrina's window and then I lost it again.
Don't blame the guest, okay? Do not blame the guest. Well, that's just the basic introduction for BakedHR, so I'm going to keep going with it. I'm Jasmine, a co-host of BakedHR, here with Christina, my amazing co-host who can't get it together.
I was like, wow, that was really
Thought you were about to get a compliment.
I know. And then bam. Yep. That's cool. It's fine. It's all right. I'm ready to go. Hey, Jasmine. Good to see you.
It is good to see you. Maybe, soon we will be seeing each other in person. I was just about to say maybe one day soon we can see each other in person, but I completely forgot we are about to see each other soon.
Man. I didn't know that.
Christina, I booked you for an event.
Oh, we are. That's just a couple weeks away. Oh my gosh, we will. And then I can get my bag from you. Okay, that's enough of us. So we are, as always, super excited tonight because we have a very fun and very awesome guest. Katrina, do you want to introduce yourself to our audience?
Of course. And, we were just joking beforehand. I'm really glad you don't do the whole bio read because I'm not into it. It's not very special or important because I'm the only Katrina Kibben in the world. So if you really want the credentials, Google it. You can find it. It'll be there. So the short answer is my name's Katrina Kibben. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called 3 Ears Media, and we teach recruiters to write because hiring is always hard. But the reason hiring is hard is a little bit different for everybody. And of all the variables that we can control, right? And we all know the variables we can't, like giggling at starting a session or, the reasons that people say no to our jobs, right? The one thing we can control is how we ask. And that's what my team does. We teach people how to ask. And the thing that you probably know me from, if you know me, is job postings. I'm the job posting expert, nerd.
Nerds are cool around here, so that's good. That's a good thing. I have to admit something to you. I've heard you say that 100 times. I'm the only Katrina Kibben in the world. Every time you say it, I Google Katrina Kibben just to see if there's another Katrina Kibben out there yet. So far, I have not found one, but I don't know what's wrong with my brain. But when you say that, I'm like, are you sure? And I go and Google, and you're right. You're absolutely right.
It's actually a psychological trick. I'm forcing you to look me up. I'm kidding.
Oh, damn. I'm not playing.
Every single time, clearly.
No, actually, the only other one that's even close is the Katrina Kibben. And she is a priest in the Navy. And so you are in the way wrong place if you find her.
But if you are in the Navy looking for a priest, feel free to go look for Katrina Kibben.
Look, yeah. Little Jesus. It ain't me, though.
That should be added to your bio.
So we are super excited that you're here tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day for us. We want to talk about why you started this job posting crusade and writing better job postings and getting us where we are here today. I'm a recruiter at heart. So when you joke about all the variables in the process that we can't control, good Lord, that list, there's Jesus again, that Lord.
The Lord maketh the list, and the Lord saith, this person not saying yes.
Yeah, we got a whole lot of editing to do. I am so sorry. This is not airing for a few weeks, Katrina. Anyway, so with all the variables in the recruiting process, that list is getting so long right now in this market. So I think that pausing and looking back at the job post, like you said, a variable that we can control, is a really good idea. So tell us kind of how this started and what you've seen this turn into with some.
So I started the company. I knew we were going to do writing, but I started with kind of the typical writing that you probably think of when you think about writing for recruiting. So you think of career sites, email automation, EVPs, and I like that work, but I don't love that work. It's very like, one and done. It's very lofty. I don't feel like it has a lot of impact on the bottom line. And if you know anything about me, like I'm practical. Like I'm not gonna bullshit people. I'm not gonna just tell you like you need an EVP. Like I don't actually believe that. And so I couldn't do that very long. And what happened is Bamboo HR contacted me and they asked me to do some research on job postings and present at their HR virtual summit. And so I didn't know a ton about job postings, but I could do research and pretty quickly found out that there wasn't a lot of great advice. So I applied what I knew about great writing and great marketing to a job posting and presented a quick 30-minute idea. But at the end, I actually said, you guys are about to laugh at me. I said, I'll write your job postings for free. Just send it to me and I'll do it because I want to learn this.
We're not laughing. We're horrified.
You can like laugh.
How many did you get? How many did you, do you even remember how many emails you got?
Oh, I remember because I was on an airplane and my computer died at the end of my session. So I didn't know how many people had contacted me. As we were landing. I turned my phone on because you know you're like creeping it on as you're hitting the ground, and I had 300 emails in 30 minutes. And then over the next hour, I got another 600 people, and I knew that I had something. I didn't know what, but I knew I had something. And I'm a nerd, and both of you know this about me. I did every single one. If that person would show up to an intake meeting with me, I would do it. And that's how I mastered my intake, is I did it over and over for every industry at every level in every region globally. I tested it over and over again, and I wrote all these job postings for free, and that's how I came up with my methodology. And frankly, I think that was truly the beginning of 3 Years Media, not all that stuff that I was doing before that.
I'm just really shocked that you still like that's a lot. And okay.
But the research in it and being able to see all of that and get it all and just looking at the job descriptions that probably were about the exact same thing, pretty much.
It was the same job posting over and over in your email, wasn't it? Because somebody just copy and pasted.
Yep. In that process, right? Like I literally I know exactly what questions people ask about job postings. You know, people will joke with me, wow, like you really know your stuff. And I'm like, I wrote almost 1,000 postings for free, right? Like I got a lot of practice before I ever hired people to join the team, before we ever became a company. And you know, now we obviously get paid to write job postings, but it's also, I feel very, very confident and good about this advice because I know it works. I did it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I didn't realize that was part of like how 3 years came about today. Obviously, I'm a big fan of what you do. And what people don't know is that we get to work together regularly. I've seen that intake. I know that intake very personally, and I can attest that it is fantastic and it makes for some very good job postings. But what I still see is like hiring managers have a hard time getting away from what they think belongs in that job posting, right? So when you are up against that, or when you're training new team members, you know, as you continue to expand wildly, what do you tell them to do? Because listen, hiring managers can be stubborn and they can get offended, right? They can get offended. So how do you beat that out of them? Like, does the 1,000 job posts for free do it, or what do you do?
No freebies. I mean, there's two pieces. And the first of them is actually something that you and I have talked about before, is that you really have to make a hiring manager feel comfortable first. And so whenever I start an intake, the very first thing I go is, do you know why you're here? And it seems like a stupid question considering you have a meeting invite that explains every bit of this. But just jokingly say, do you know why you're here? And they're like, yes or no, whatever it is. And what I say next is, we're here to talk about the job. I don't want you to read me anything. I want you to tell me the truth. The difference between what we're about to do and every job posting you've ever read is I'm not going to make any of it up. And if you can just work with me through that and tell me the truth the whole way through, we will make something great for you. And they're like, awesome. So, and you watch their body language go from like, I'm in a meeting and I need to tell you the right answer, to like, okay, we're friends. Like, I'll help you. So I think that's number one of like really getting them to relax. I think the second piece of it is that we as recruiters have to actually be educated on the biases that are about to come up, because we can't address it in real time if we don't even know what those biases are and what, I guess, the warning signs are that we need to actually be having a different conversation about biases. It's not even requirements at this point. I mean, we've all been in that meeting where he's like, he will be doing this and he will be doing that and he will be, and you're like, is there a chance they could have a vagina or no? Like,
Is it a possibility at
Right.
all? Just even, I worked for an engineering firm one time that they would not use like he or she or they or anything to describe. They would just say belly button. And I would get like kind of cringy about it. And then like one day I said, why do you guys do that? And they're like, well, because everyone has a belly button. And I was like, do that? I guess they do. I guess
You do? You
everyone
gonna
has a
Google?
belly button. So that was sorry, that was a sidestep that you guys did not sign up for. So sorry about that. But I'm glad you said that about making hiring managers comfortable. I asked you that question because I think a lot of times HR and recruiters, we have so many battles that we have to fight in this process sometimes that we kind of give them the job posting, say, okay, it's fine. We'll post whatever you want to post. And I hope people will stop and think like, wait, maybe this is an easy win, because if we get this right.
Okay, let's just put one thing out in the open really quick. If you feel uneducated, you being anyone who's watching this that works in talent, and I'm saying talent broadly as a field, if you feel uneducated on writing job postings, imagine how a hiring manager feels. So if you're wondering if you should own the writing process, the answer is duh. Of course you should. Like, I mean, really. And I do not care how big your company is. I do not care how deep the blah, blah, blah. You don't have bandwidth. I do not give a shit, because you cannot build trust and a qualified pipeline without education on the role. And if you do not take 15 minutes to do that, I can tell you why you're busy.
Word. Yeah, we could just totally stop the episode there.
Yep.
Like we could stop it there. It would be worth all of the time in the world for anybody. So I'm really glad you shared that. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, I sat in on a training that you did recently about pronouns, and it really got me thinking, obviously, like I consider myself like progressive and an ally, and I'm hip and I know what's going on. But to sit there, I know Jasmine's like, what's it called when you're like embarrassed for someone else? Like she's embarrassed for me right now. But like seriously, like I go into it thinking like I'm here to support my friend Katrina, doing a training with a group of strangers. That is quite personal, by the way, a quite personal training. And listening to the facts that you shared, and just the impact that it can have on, and it's things that we should think about in the HR realm anyway, like naturally. But some of the stats that you shared, especially about the young kids and how much of an impact it makes by letting them tell you what their pronouns are and using whatever they tell you it is, and like not questioning them, like, are you sure? Is that really what you want to use? And it really got me thinking, like, that inclusive language, if it doesn't start in the job post, then are you really as inclusive as you think you are? Because we already fight all this other stuff in making sure that we get a good, qualified, diverse candidate pool. But no one's really talking about like how you can write your job postings more inclusive in that manner. However, I will caveat before you answer that, before you answer or talk to that at all, I will say, if you are not an inclusive workplace, don't try to fucking fake it in your job posting.
That's just about to say. I was like, we got to asterisk this real quick because this is shit in a cannon. A great job posting that is super inclusive, that brings people into an environment that's not, is what I refer to as shit in a cannon. It moves faster, but it's still shit, right? Like, that's very much a Southernism, but like, right? This idea that we can make the magic, whatever it is. You know, we all talk about, oh, we want a more diverse workforce. We would like a workforce that represents our world and the best of everyone. Great. If you aren't looking at your job postings, you probably don't have a pipeline that represents the goals that you set, right? Because what happens is, and I did this research, so I looked at job postings from 100 years ago, and I started to analyze the tactics that we have repeated, because I have a philosophy that it's not just linguistics, and we all know this because talk is cheap. Oh, we are super inclusive. This is a belonging workplace, highly collaborative team players only. No mean girls, right? We can all say whatever the fuck we want, but the reality is that it doesn't happen. And so I couldn't just like pick up an augmented writing tool and be like, ooh, the word's typey, it's better. It's not better. We have to look at the tactics. And so so here's just one dimension of it. Women and men read job postings differently. Men read a job posting, and if they are 60% qualified, they apply. Women have to be more than 80% qualified, according to this study by Intel, to even apply. So they never even get into the pipeline. So a company who's saying, I want more women to apply, posting it on Fairy God Boss ain't it, right? Like, the same stuff in a different campfire is still the stuff. So it's actually changing our tactics, right? It's going beyond even the pronouns and like not calling them a mailman, and actually looking at how we describe the experience to change who applies.
And you also have to make sure that as a company, it needs to be understood that's what you are doing. Because I've worked with people or hiring managers who, when someone did announce their pronouns in an interview, you know, when the interview was finished and done and we closed off for the day, the hiring manager was like, I could tell it was a girl. I know her pronouns. And I was like, no, you don't know. You didn't know her pronouns. It's just she told you. And then you got upset that she told you, because what if she wasn't using the she pronoun?
Yes.
Then through this entire interview where you're talking about my company is so great and we do this and we celebrate that, and you keep calling her she, and that's not a pronoun for her, she doesn't want to work here anyway. Well, I would think she wouldn't want to work here.
Yep. Exactly. The example that I give during the presentation that Christina references, and it's a presentation that I give two ways, by the way. It's one that I give for HR people, and it's one that I give to entire companies too, because of moments like that. And the example I give, so nobody gets upset, is I went into an interview and I got someone's name wrong. And everyone knows what that feels like. All right, Tom, you and me, we're going to be best friends. And he's like, my name is Tim. And you're like, we ain't going to be best friends. we might not be friends at all now, right? That's how people feel when you get their pronouns wrong. And most people make assumptions with their brains because of society and whatever, not because of bad intent. But my gut, like, advice to anyone is everyone is they, them until corrected. I practice it in Walmart. I'll be walking down the aisles and I'll be like, they picked up an apple. They did this. And I will practice and practice to reform my brain, because society, since kindergarten, they put us in lines to go to potties. They put us in lines, boys over here, girls over here, to sit at the cafeteria, right? Of course, that's what your brain does. However, we know better now. We can do better.
When you know better, you do better. I like it. That's really good. And you know, right now I'm still wearing a mask to the grocery store. So no one will be able to tell I'm just talking to myself when I'm doing that little exercise right there. I think it's really good.
It's just practice. I think that's the thing. Like we do not admit that we all need practice to change our behaviors. And so people say, I'm an ally, I'm a this, I'm a that, but they don't practice, right? I'm not a football player until I go to football practice. I'm not a basketball player until I shoot a couple hoops. And you're not an ally until you do a little fucking work.
You're censoring yourself.
Well, I had that moment of like, I shouldn't say fuck. And then I'm like, I'm going to say fuck. We're in that hour of my day. We're gonna use that words.
This is why we choose that hour to record. Everyone gets real and raw here at Baked HR.
It's someone's life. I think, Jasmine, when you were describing it, it's like, okay, it all happens and they're like, I know. You don't know shit. And we know that. All three of us probably have a great story about meeting someone and being like, you are not what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And truly, if we are going to build equitable workplaces, we have to accept that all of us have a lot more in common than we don't. And that our responsibility to others, and this is the part that when Christina said my presentation is personal, it's because it's about making people feel safe. And that is personal. It is one of our most basic needs to be human, to be alive. And if we do not think of it that way, I don't think anything changes in this world, right? Like if I tell you, oh, learn my pronouns, VIP, you're like, right? If I tell you, it makes me feel safe. I need that. Both of you, I know for a fact, would take more initiative. And I would imagine that anybody watching this would take more initiative knowing that they were helping someone feel safe in this world.
I surely hope so.
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you wouldn't, we are not for you.
Get out.
Oh, that's a sensitive topic right now too. Get out. We can't use that phrase. No, so I didn't mean to get super personal without giving you a heads up. Sometimes Jasmine and I will send questions ahead of time for a guest, and we have not had our lives together. I said we, but normally it's really me. I haven't had my life together. Jasmine's doing fine. She's thriving and doing great things over there. So just so everyone knows, I put you on the spot with that one. But I thought it was a really great training. I did walk away learning more than I knew I needed to learn. So really appreciate the opportunity to attend it. And we'll link to your site in the comments and stuff here so everyone can check that out for themselves, because I think, another thing that I did after it was think of a previous workplace and like how much better that workplace could have been for everyone had we had some kind of training like that to just disarm the fear in accepting someone for who they want you to accept them as, getting rid of like whatever, like you said, like society has built up all of this stuff that it's not the way it is. It's not the way it is. It's just a picture of what they want it to be. And how much safer an employee would have felt had we offered that to the whole company, I think, instead of maybe just a select few that we knew.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and philosophically, I think there's something to that bigger picture. As HR and talent, I think we miss a lot of opportunities to educate people and really build our expertise by bringing in experts, not being the expert, right? Mm-hmm. So we do this with the job postings. I do this with the pronouns. We have a version for hiring managers always, because if you come to a hiring manager and you go, I'm a job post expert now, it does not have the same effect as sending the expert in and having the expert come out to everybody and go, I trained your team and they're experts now. Let me tell you what I taught them. And having someone like me do the first pitch while you're still learning it. And then you walk into your next meeting and they're like, wow, that meeting was great. I learned so much. Teach me what you learned, right? It's a different conversation. And it's funny because as I'm thinking about it, right, before this, Jasmine, we were talking about benefits, right? With benefits, I feel like we always trust the expert to come in. Oh yeah, we invite our benefits
Mhm.
consultant to come talk to everybody and tell
Beg our
them,
benefits expert to come in.
right? Why don't we do that with a lot more of our HR and every process? Doing education,
Well, I know the answer to that.
time, money.
I was just gonna say money.
No, I don't think it's that. I think that you've got a lot of people who are like Christina 10 years ago, who felt like they needed to be in the know about everything, and that's how they have value in the organization. And if they start bringing in experts in all of these different areas, it looks like, well, why do we need you? We've got this recruiting expert, this job post expert, this benefits expert. We could just go directly to all of them, which is likely not the case, because it's not as easy, even for a small company, for leadership to just go directly to all of these people that you've outsourced elements that fall under the HR umbrella. So, some of us take a little longer to learn that it's okay to bring an outside person in. Sometimes it is money. And sometimes that's the argument that I would use when I would say, we don't need an outside person to do this. I can do this. You're going to spend, $15,000 on having that person come in and do 2 sessions with our team, when I can do that. You just give me 2 weeks and I'll be ready to do a presentation. However, the upside of that for me is I learned a lot of things by being willing to do that. But as I get older and wiser, my last corporate job, I was like, let's bring in an expert. It ain't me.
Well, as you progress in your career, I think you learn where to apply the energy you do have, right? And that's something I really had to learn as a business owner. And so today I've been doing a little bit of work. It's the weekend. And so people are like, oh my gosh, you're working on the weekend. And I'm like, no, I have energy right now. I'm not tired. I haven't been on the phone for 8 hours. I want to write today, right? I can read 10 job postings because I haven't read 50 emails first. And I'm not giving that as like a I'm so busy quote. I'm giving that as I apply my energy when I have it. And that is life advice. That is work advice. That's everything advice.
That is relationship advice. Let me just.
Yes.
That is everything.
You got to listen to your energy, right? And as executives, I think that is absolutely critical. You aren't selling your expertise, you are keeping your energy. Think of it that way.
Yeah, I think that is a really good illustration for people who might struggle with what I struggled with. So I hope they act on that. But I will say too that sometimes you just have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm not as good at that as I think I am. And there is someone who is going to do 10 times the job I'm going to do on this. And it's going to be an investment for us. We're not spending money, we're investing in the outcomes, right? So, I like the benefits example though, because it's easy for me to relate to. I know it's easy for Jasmine to relate to, because we cry about benefits all the time. If we are forced to do it, we will do it, but we would much rather have a benefits expert. So, glad to have a job post expert in our network now.
But I also love that, because you have to think about who the message is coming from a lot in HR. So us giving the message about pronouns, and for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been sitting up here saying, she, her, or he, him, and not really thinking about pronouns, even if we did in our personal life and we didn't do it in our work life. So now us having these, meetings saying, oh, let's talk about pronouns with employees, they're like, what? So having someone come in and talk about it, I think especially for that type of work is more important to invest in that type of work. But I will say, I started a new job, and one of the things that we had an issue with, or that we have an issue with, is job postings. And I was like, you know what? I know the first 2 people who I need to go online and sign up on their email list for, and it was you two.
Success.
We've made it.
I'll be known for nothing but a job posting. I'll be laying in my hospital bed like highly collaborative team player. players need not apply.
For Ruby. I mean,
Exactly. No.
We'll make sure we pull a good one-liner about job postings for your headstone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So
No, don't worry. Dominique is our mutual friend is managing all of my executor role, so she knows
Oh,
the
it's gonna be
rules. She
good.
knows what to do. Yep.
no,
It's
I'm
a
gonna
party.
get one of the tweets that you always put up about like of a job posting you found. That
Just have scrolling.
yeah. We're just gonna use one of those. Or
So since we landed here somehow, what is the worst thing you've ever seen in a job posting?
The worst ever. So I see a lot, right? Like I mean, the ones that get me, the worst job postings, they're a category. It's not even just one. It's the ones that you know are talking about the last person who had the job. So it's the equivalent of the dating profile where you're like, oh, she dated a blah, blah, blah before. Like she dated a liar. Because the first 5 words are, you must be honest, trustworthy, and a good communicator, right? Like you can smell the lie, you can smell the pain on them and the scars that were left behind by the bad last person. And so they're like, must be highly focused. Do not look at your phone all day. And you're like, I know that's about someone. Like, and the smaller the business, the more very, very specific it is. If they say anything in all caps, there's a name involved. You could probably use that as some like a letter, like when they write the name down the side, they use each letter for for an adjective. It's one of those. You can see them all over the place. Angry people writing job postings are the worst. But big picture, they're bad because they don't tell the truth. It's not that they called it a shit leader, which I have seen before. It's not that they called it, that they have ridiculous title, 3 to 17 years of experience. Last week I was in a workshop and someone said that and I literally took the microphone and hit myself in the head when they said it. I was like, 3 to 17? Like what?
How did you get that? Right.
But they lie. We make things up and we steal dreams from people. And I don't mean to be like, but seriously, it makes me mad because I remember what it feels like. And I'm sure both of you do too. You're looking at that job and you're like, this is perfect for me. Perfect location, perfect spot. I bet I could make good money. I already found out all this stuff. I called my friend. I can get the job, but I don't meet that qualification. And little did you know they made that shit up. Like, fuck that. That makes me mad.
My last corporate gig, the thing that my boss would say, well, go Google it and copy someone else's. And I'm like, what?
Made up.
What? No, I will not do that. Like we literally had it out because they would not do that. And I was like, you wouldn't be able to speak to it if I just copy and pasted someone else's. You'd be like, oh, I didn't know that was in the job posting. Like, what's there?
And then they're going to go on whoever it is, right? We'll sit there and be like, copy and paste it. And then the next tweet, it is so hard to hire. Man, no one qualified applied to this job. Oh, this person quit after 30 days. Oh, man, no qualified applicants? You didn't even know what the hell you were looking for. That's like going to the grocery store with no list. Good luck. Good luck to you.
Well, I do that every single time.
No, I'm just...
And that's why you stay in our text group going, I don't know what to have for dinner tonight because you didn't take a list at the damn grocery store.
I'm not in that group. Want to know why? I make a list.
And how you can do that when April has tried to teach you her ways. You make the list and then you put it in order of the aisles in the grocery store.
My people.
And now you go at 7 a.m. on Saturday because no one else is there.
I got
that is amazing. You should do that.
I am more upset now if I forget my headphones to go to the grocery store than I am to go for a run.
Same.
I didn't know that was where my life would be, but that's where we are. So I hope y'all think I'm cool.
I am there 1000%. No, but truly, right? I see it most with small businesses and businesses that are growing too fast,
Yeah.
right? You're doubling right now. You are whatever. I'm building a new team because the first place is, well, I don't know, or I don't have time. And the truth is, if you do not have time to take 15 minutes to talk about the job, you are going to waste hours, right? Pay an expert to do the intake. Screw it. Then all you have to do is read it. Right? We
Right.
provide transcripts of the intake. We provide the entire job posting, all of our insights about the job title, how to maximize the post. Like, pay someone to do it if you can't, but it must be done.
If you are stuck on it, it is well worth that one-time fee to have somebody else do it and then learn from it. Well, to have Katrina and 3 Years Media, not just anybody. I should clarify that.
We have an entire team of people who are special. And I say that not just like because I'm biased. I love the people that I work with, but we are people who either have excellent copywriting credentials or you have a recruiting or hiring background. These are people with actual understanding of what's going on. This is not some copywriter you hired off of Upwork for $35 an hour. Like, my people are trained and I review every single job posting we write. So it has gone through at least 2, if not 3 reviews. And you can't tell me that you could recreate that process. Oh, and by the way, we do it in 3 business days. Max. That's our slow turnaround. Like, come on. You're not going to do that. And we're going to save you thousands of dollars. Like, never stare at a pile of unqualified people again. That's my promise.
Yeah, I like that. That's really, as a recruiter, I like that because
Oh, yes.
because there's all these rumors that like your resume is going to get filtered out by the ATS. And I don't know, maybe I'm using the wrong ATS. Maybe I'm not using it correctly, but I have always looked at every resume that comes through, even if it's a ton of resumes. So I would prefer them to be qualified, and they can only be qualified if the job posting is well written and correct.
Honest clarity, right? My rule of thumb, and I jokingly say this, but it's real, is if you would not say this out loud, do not write it down. That's how I teach my team. That is verbatim feedback I will give them. Would you say this? Would you look me dead in the eye and say this to me with a straight face? No. Typey, go back. Thank you. And they know. The next step is to literally pull your phone out, turn on voice to text and say it. Say what you're trying to say and then write it down. I guarantee it'll be better than whatever you just made up with your business brain. You know what I'm talking
Feeling
about.
very attacked right now, but we can talk about it later. Jasmine is going to try to hire you now to write a job post for a new co-host, but I still have all the passwords. She may do the editing, but I still have all the passwords to everything. So do not help her write it.
Don't delete this recording. No. Job security. Delete.
She was the one that put out a calling for a new co-host the other day because of a meme that she approved. Okay.
Looking for a highly trustworthy co-host who doesn't post memes. Anybody want to write that one?
Will only post flattering content of their co-host. Flattering. I'm obviously doing a good job of embarrassing myself on my own. I do not need my co-host help.
Well, way more fun than I expected. I expected fun, but like I thought we were gonna like do our buttoned up like, tell me about job postings, tell me about the job title. This is a blast.
We gotta get to it quick, get to the facts, get to the good detail, and then tell everyone to go to your website.
Deal.
That's all we do here.
If we want people to see that those of us that are involved in this process, we're just real people that you're probably sitting next to at a bar. I mean, not right now because there's still a panini and all. But like we're passing you in the grocery store. We're real people and we care about other people too. And so like we don't button up and cover anything up over here.
Hey, you know that's not how I roll either. I just go with the host flow. And I appreciate that the vibe is chill, for sure, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Katrina. We will definitely link Three Ears Media and everything else that you do in the description below of this YouTube video. So make sure that you all are following us on Instagram at BakedHR. Make sure you join us on our Sunday night lives because ranting shall be done on a lot of them, including the one that links after this. So anyway, what else do we have, Christina? Oh yeah, Gmail. If you have I'm very upset. I'm getting ready for live. So if you have a question, a topic that you would like for us to talk about, then email us at bakedhr@gmail.com. And then make sure you like and subscribe to this YouTube video of Baked HR. Until next time, we will see y'all later. Thank you so much.
Bye.